Hello and welcome to Week 12 of the NFL season and the first week of remote and the Turnover NFL podcast. I'm next to Kelvin Reisenfeld, as usual.
Oh, yeah, you know how it is. We're back here, making it happen online.
We're doing what we can. We're basically going to do just a prediction show. To start us off, last week I went 9-5. Kelvin went 5-9. I am now ahead by 7 games on Kelvin on the season. We're going to wait and see what happens with the rest of the year. We're going to dive right into it. It's just going to be a prediction show for the break until we're back in the studio. First up, we have the Lions and the Texans. Kelvin, why don't you start us off, dude?
Oh, you want me to? Are you sure? I think this might be one that you would love to talk about.
No, you go first. I'll finish off.
All right, so, we got the Lions and Texans. In my opinion, it's a complete wash of a game. I don't really care about it, even though it's on Thanksgiving. I'm going to go ahead and just keep it short and sweet. The Texans coming off a win last week. I'm going to go ahead and take the Texans. The Texans are -3 right now over the Lions. I wouldn't take them on the spread, but I might take them on the Thanksgiving win.
So something funny about the Lions is they play every year on Thanksgiving, and it seems every year they like to disappoint. Coming off of last week against a bottom 10 defense, they got shut out 20-0. This week coming in, they're losing Danny Amendola, Kenny Galladay's still out, and DeAndre Swift's questionable. I would be very surprised if he played. Matthew Stafford had less than 200 yards last week. Again, they were shut out. They keep feeding the ball to old man Adrian Peterson. I wouldn't be surprised if they're held to less than 17, less than 14 points again this week. As shameful as it is, I'm taking the Texans. And it hurts me to say it. If they would have won last week, I'd be different. But here I am. I think the Texans are going to win. I think they're going to win by 10 points.
You think so? 10? Dude, I remember you saying the whole the Lions are going to win the next 4 of their 3 of the 4, man.
Yeah, that was 4 games ago. That's a completely different team now. All right, next up, we got the other Thanksgiving game that will be played due to Baltimore and the Steelers being moved to Sunday for now. Washington versus the Cowboys. Now, fun fact, Kelvin and I have been talking about this. Both these teams have 3 wins, and every team in the NFC East has 3 wins currently. The Cowboys are home for this game. Andy Dalton looked better than anything else they've been starting at quarterback, the Red Rifle. Washington's coming off of a win last week against Cincinnati. Their defense looked as we expected them to do. Personally, I'm taking Washington. I think that the Cowboys have a decent amount to offer. However, I think that this is going to be a 27-24 game, and Washington's going to come out on top.
That's funny. I was going to take the Washington football team until you did. The Cowboys are -3 in this game. So I was going to take Washington, but I might stick to Andy Dalton winning this game because I think the Cowboys, one, could win this division still somehow. And I think their biggest competitor is probably the Giants. I mean, if you look forward to the future, the Giants are the only team that really bring anything to the table as far as like advancing their team to the next level. I just think that I think the Cowboys will squeeze away with this win, and hopefully Andy Dalton, with the former Cincinnati Bengal, can represent the city a little bit and see what he can do.
Yeah, that's why you sign expensive backup quarterbacks for this exact reason. Next up, the game that was moved to Sunday. We have the Ravens. We have the Steelers. We have game 2. Steelers won game 1. Kelvin, let's hear it.
All right, so I'm trying to find the spread here, and it looks like sorry, this is all improv because this is a different setting of the show for sure. So let me just scroll here for a second. I don't see a spread out for it yet, actually.
I'd say Steelers by 5.5 if I were to guess.
5.5. Yeah, I'm not seeing a spread here on my bookie. So if I were betting on the game, though, if it was anything it's tough to say. If it's anything less than 7 points, I'd probably take it for the Ravens. But I think the Steelers are going to win the game outright. They're going to go 2-0 against the Ravens.
Steelers going 11-0 to start the year?
I think they will. The Ravens are kind of on a downfall right now. They lost the Titans last week, who was another team that was going downhill. And I don't think they got it this year. I don't think they have the answers for this Pittsburgh offense and defense.
Something that's crazy to bring up is the Ravens, all they know is, they know the run game with the potential option to pass the ball. However, whenever they play the Titans the last couple of years, the Titans run the ball better than them, and they shut down the run. They did that in the playoffs last year. They did it this year. I think the Titans have the Ravens number. I'm also taking the Steelers in this game. I think the Steelers are too good to be beat right now, and the Ravens are on that downward slope. I just don't think anyone can beat the Steelers. Next,
honestly, looking forward, there's a good possibility that the Steelers could go undefeated, and we've been bringing it up the past couple weeks, and it's just getting scarier and scarier each week.
This is a real test to their 16-0 season.
Yeah.
Next, we got the Buffalo Bills, Los Angeles Chargers. This is a game that really could be interesting. I mean, Justin Herbert actually has the most passes more than 10 yards down the field in the NFL this year, and he has less games played than a lot of quarterbacks because Tyrod Taylor was originally the starter. However, I'm taking the Bills. I think the Bills are kind of starting to establish who they are this year. They're going to be a 4-loss team. They might be a 5-loss team. I think they're going to be a good football team and a winner of 1 or 2 playoff games. I think this is a game that they can run away with.
Yeah, easy. That's a great take. The Bills are minus 5.5. This game's in LA, I think, but I would take the Bills. I think they could easily beat this Charger team by a touchdown. I'm not sure why Vegas is giving that only a 5.5, but I would definitely take the Bills by a touchdown this game without a question.
Austin Eckler is supposed to return this week, and if not, then he will next week. But he is supposed to return this week, so that's a huge plus to the LA offense.
Maybe that's why that they're putting that on the 5.5.
Kelvin, why don't you take it?
This is just a really interesting game for me personally because I feel like I haven't given the Colts much credit this season at all. And they just keep getting better. And last week they showed me up beating the Packers with a great win. Ashton, shout out. You showed me up, and I'll shut my mouth about your Colts. And I'll take them this week again. I'll take the Colts this week, and hopefully I don't ruin their trend. That's only because the Titans, they're coming off a big win, but I think the Colts have shown more so far this season.
I am personally taking the Titans. That was before you took your pick. I was going to take the Titans. It would have been more interesting if you took the Titans. But I think this Titans team is a team that it's going to be tough to beat them twice in a season kind of team. This Colts team is starting to show who they are. Their offense is starting to click a little bit more, especially with everyone becoming healthy and Phillip Rivers getting more intuitive with that offense. But I think the Titans squeeze out of this one. I think they win by 3 or 4 points. Next, we got.
You think they run the ball all over them?
What was that? I'm sorry.
They think they run the ball all over them all game?
Tannehill's going to have to step up. If Derrick Henry gets 100 yards, he did his job. But that defense is really good on both sides of running and passing. So Tannehill's going to have to throw for 250, 300, and Derrick Henry's going to have to run for 100 for them to win this game.
All right.
Next, we got the Vikings and the Panthers. Now, this is an interesting game, unfortunately, because, well, both these teams just absolutely throttled the Lions when we didn't really expect them to throttle the Lions. Panthers coming off a 20-0 win with a backup quarterback, and the Vikings are coming off of a questionable loss, and they really shouldn't have. So here we are with two
questionable. Way more than questionable. Way more than questionable.
Yeah. They're coming off of both sides of the spectrum, and then they did questionable things last week. However, I think the Vikings answer back this week. They get back into the playoff race. I believe they're currently 4-6. They'll be 5-6 after this week. That's why I'm taking the Vikings.
The Vikings this whole season have just been like a complete up and down roller coaster of a team for us personally. They have no business being a 4-6 team right now. They're way better than that. But I mean, they're gonna win this week. The Panthers, again, I said it last week, have nothing to play for. They beat the Lions last week, but I'm taking the Vikings off of a terrible loss last week that never should have happened. But here I am.
All right.
Go Vikings.
We got the Jaguars. We got the Browns. Kelvin, start us off. Let's go.
I mean, it's making me want to throw up more and more each time we talk about the Browns, because the Browns are about to be an 8-3 football team,
Yeah.
100%. And I'm taking the Browns. They have no passing game whatsoever. To be fair to them, Baker Mayfield can't throw the ball, I think, to save his life if it depended on it. But their running backs are just too strong. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb will just run the ball all day.
So something that you noted, they're getting a cakewalk to their 8-3 record. Is that true? Yeah, sure. However, something that I think needs to be noted are decent football teams do beat teams that are worse than them, because if the Lions, and I'm using the Lions as an example because they have talent, if the Lions were to beat everybody they were supposed to beat, they'd be 6-3 right now. But they're not able to. They're an average football team. So I think that's the difference between a team like the Lions and a team like the Browns, who are well coached, a team that's got talent and is well coached. They're able to beat those teams that aren't as good, especially because every time the Browns have lost, they've been absolutely destroyed. So here's another.
I mean, yeah, I think.
Continue. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So this is about the Jags, and then I'll let you go. So to go off of the Jags starting quarterback this week, who is Mike Glennon. Mark Long tweeted this. Mike Glennon was benched in 2017 for Mitch Trubisky in Chicago. Mitch Trubisky was benched because of Nick Foles this year. Nick Foles was benched last year because of Gardner Minshew, who was replaced by Luton. And guess who's starting for the Jags this week? Mike Glennon. So this entire circle, this carousel, has led back to Mike Glennon being the starter for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's interesting. I did not know that. That being said, are you taking the Jaguars?
Oh, I forgot to say, no, I'm taking the Browns. No. I think it'd be kind of dumb to take the Jags. Oh my gosh, think of it. Mike Glennon is the Jags' best option. He got replaced by Mitch Trubisky. I think that's enough said right there.
No, I'm a hammer the Browns. I don't have a spread on it, but if it's anything less than a touchdown, to be fair though, the Jags have played some close games this year, and if the Browns were gonna brown at any point this season, it would be this game.
Well, are you taking the Browns or the Jags?
Oh, I'm taking the Browns. I'm down 7 games. I need it.
All right, next up, we got the Giants, the Eagles. We got a rematch. Who are you taking in this one? The Eagles came back originally from a lot down in the fourth quarter in game 1 of the year.
The Giants don't play the Eagles this week.
Who they play?
They play the Bengals.
Well, my bad. I must have mistyped this. So who do you think wins? The Giants and the Bengals. We'll go with that.
I would prefer you to start talking about that.
So obviously Joe Burrow, who was the front runner for Rookie of the Year last year and having a phenomenal season, not just for a rookie quarterback, but for a quarterback on a team that was not good, got hurt, ACL, MCL, and potentially structural damage as well. He's out for the near future. Hopefully he's back for training camp next year, but it's not looking dim. Personally, I'm taking the Giants. I think you kind of said it best. The Giants are kind of starting to click as a team. Does that mean they're that great? No, but they're better than the Bengals. So I'll take the Giants over the Cincinnati Bengals. Go on.
I've been like trying to contemplate the words to express my emotions. And it was just the one good thing the Bengals had for the past 10, 15, 20 years. Joe Burrow was the best thing to happen to the Bengals. It was the only hope that we had any solace at all in this season. I hope he recovers, and I hope best of luck to him. For the Bengals is really bad because now we have the 3rd overall pick, I think, right now, and I don't think the Bengals are going to win another game this season. So I think the Giants, like I said earlier, the upcoming team, I think in the East, and I'm taking the Giants.
All right, we're moving on from that very emotional statement by Kelvin. We have the Patriots.
Please move on.
So this game is actually a fairly interesting game. The Patriots looked like they were just starting to heat up, and then they decided not to last week with a loss. The Cardinals are a team to be reckoned with. However, sometimes they throw games. Personally, I'm going to take the Cardinals in this game. I'm not sure what the spread is. I'd assume it's about 5.5, 6.5. I'd take the Cardinals by a touchdown, in my opinion. But you can never count Bill Belichick out, so don't count against him. I'm taking the Cards. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really weird because I would agree with you on that the spread take before I just looked at it, and I got plus 2.5 for the Patriots.
Yeah,
So the Cardinals are only favored by 2.5, which is really weird. It sounds like I'm hammering that bet because I'm taking the Cardinals for sure, and I think they're definitely going to win by a field goal.
at least.
So I would take the Cardinals. That's popping out as probably like the lock of the week kind of thing.
I'd agree with that. Next, we have the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. Kel, why don't you start us off?
You know, it was just weird. The Dolphins really just were shaky last week. They took Tua out in the middle of the game. I don't know if that was due to like injury precaution or what that was about. But they gave a bad loss to the Broncos last week. But I mean, they're favored by a touchdown against the Jets. Said it time and time on the show. The Jets suck. They're terrible. We're taking the Dolphins. I would probably take them by 10 points.
Yeah, last week was Tua was sacked 6 times and they subbed him out. They said it wasn't because of he was hurt. They said it wasn't because they were scared. However, I think you just can't let your rookie quarterback coming off of a season-ending injury just get hit 6 times. I think it was maybe a bit of a scared call, but probably the right call at the end of the day after watching that game and Tua just getting abused and coming off of what he did. I think it was the right call to take him out. With that being said, Tua's going to be starting again this week. I'm taking the Dolphins by what you said, probably 10-plus points. The Jets keep playing in games that are one score. However, I still think they're just horrendous, and I'm surprised they're even in games that are one score.
0-16.
Been saying it for weeks, brother. Next, we got the Raiders, the Falcons. With this game, the Raiders are coming off of a loss to the Chiefs. However, what I want to say about that game was, one, it was a very close game, and honestly, the Raiders probably should have won it, barring a defensive stand. They couldn't do it against Mahomes. Mahomes drove down the field very comfortably. If the Chiefs and the Raiders were to play 7 times, I'd take the Raiders 4 of them. I would. I really would. It seems like Gruden knows what he's doing against that team. Carr, he's got a smooth stroke against that team for whatever reason. Josh Jacobs seems to keep punching in touchdowns or 100-yard games or both. I would take the Raiders against the Chiefs for whatever reason against that team. And that's a team that might go 14-2 this year. And that's a team that the Raiders are just – with all that being said, I'm taking the Raiders. I think they're a very good football team. They're organized more than anything, and I'll take them in this game.
So the spread's -3 for the Raiders. Would you take that?
Yeah.
Okay. I like what you just say about the Raiders because I mean they're a really good football team. And are you are you taking that 4 out of the 7 just because of Gruden?
Yes and no. Because I feel like he has shaped his team to what he wants, and his team buys into what he is saying. It's not just because Gruden's out there. Like if he had the Jaguars right now, he wouldn't beat the Chiefs. But he's got the guys that he wants. He's building the team that he wants, and they're listening to his message.
Right. Right. I mean, I agree with you. I think that the Raiders. I don't think any team would beat this Raiders team. Maybe, I don't think that any team would beat this team less than 3 times in a series. I think the Raiders could win 3 games in a series of 7 with any team in the league. But we know it's football, and then they get one chance. I'm taking the Raiders in this game, but I could see the Raiders making it to like that AFC Championship spot without a question if they can, surprise some people because I think this team really is really good, and that they're going to give the Chiefs. If they can give the Chiefs trouble, they can give anybody trouble. So.
That's something that the Raiders don't have is playoff experience. They don't have, the Super Bowl experience. They don't have that run. Even when they made the playoffs a few years ago, Carr was hurt, and they don't have that run in them. We'll see what Gruden can shape up. I actually expect this to be a very good game. Do I take them by 3 points? Yeah, sure. But the Falcons have the offense to keep up with the Raiders. Next, we got the Broncos and the Saints. Kelvin, let's hear it.
Broncos Saints. We got the Saints -6. And honestly, even with Drew Brees out, the Broncos coming off a win against the Dolphins last week, I just am still not sold on this Broncos team. The Saints, I think, are going to rally. Their defense is too much, especially for an inexperienced quarterback. They're too aggressive, like we've been saying. They hit too hard. I'm taking Sean Payton and his team. Yeah. So I'm taking the Saints.
I think this Broncos team is a few pieces away from actually they're in a tough division, but competing in a lot more games. One of those pieces is Von Miller. It's a piece that they have. He's just hurt. I think their offense is a year or two of experience away from being more explosive than they are. They have 2,000-yard rushers easily in Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay. But with all that being said, sometimes their defense shows up, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't matter this week against the Saints. That team has too much offensive firepower. Alvin Kamara had an off week where, he had 40 yards. Michael Thomas had his first 100-yard game of the season. It looks like he's starting to click with Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, who a bunch of people were questioning whether he should be the starter or not, goes out, shows everyone what he's made of, shuts all the haters up. I think he could do it again this week. Expect the same outcome as last week where they outscored the Falcons by more than 2 scores. Next, we have oops, sorry.
No, you're good. I knew there was going to be a little lag. Something that we haven't really mentioned on, too, is Taysom Hill is like a freak athlete. We haven't really talked about that on the show. Props to him for being able to do whatever he does for that offense, especially stepping up in this quarterback spot now. You and I both thought last week that Jameis Winston was going to be starting, and I think later that day they named Taysom Hill the quarterback, and we were like, wow. I guess it makes sense too, but props to them for being that deep in the quarterback because your third string quarterback now is Jameis Winston. That's not bad.
No. And also, as of last year, the dude in Taysom Hill was still playing special teams and was one of the most electrifying defenders on special teams, hitting guys like he loves to do. He's making catches. He's throwing the ball. He's running up the middle. Yeah, props to him, freak athlete. He hurdles dudes. He throws the ball 50 yards downfield. He has no fear. He fears no one. Now we got the Rams and the 49ers. Now this is a game that could be interesting as well. However, right now I've been riding the Rams for a few weeks. I think that I said it a few weeks ago. They're starting to heat up. They're finally going to start beating those teams they need to. This is a game where they need to prove that, not what I've been saying, but they need to prove their worth. A team that is a step below them, but not too far below them. They need to put their foot on their throat. They need to just twist it. Don't let them breathe. I think the Rams win this game. I think they win it big.
I would agree that they're going to win big. They're -7 right now, and I would take them -7. Coming off wins against the Seahawks and the Bucks, you don't normally see teams really fall off like that against teams that they should beat, especially in their division. San Francisco's at the bottom of the NFC West right now, and they don't really have much to play for. And I think that what they're playing for is draft picks. And so I'm taking the Rams, and I would take them by 10.
Yeah, based off their injuries, the 49ers are just probably looking towards next year. Their defense has still been competing, but they don't have Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas, two very elite defenders in the league. Yeah, I'd take the Rams. If it was by 12, I'd be like, ooh, that's questionable. But, yeah, I'd take them by double digits. Now we got the Bucks and the Chiefs. The Bucks are coming off of their loss. The Chiefs are coming off of their win. Kel, what you thinking?
It's just such a – I think I'm going to relate this back to something you said about the Bucks at the beginning of the season, and it's more appealing to the eye, I think, than what it actually is. As much as I want to take the Bucks, because I do like this Bucks team, and I think they are really good, they need to mesh better together, but after the loss last week to the Rams on primetime game, I've got to take the Chiefs. But, this could just be one of those teams that Tom Brady surprises the league and beats the Chiefs, who you and I both think is the best team in the league. Or is this a game that they get blown over again because they're not as good? Or does that defense step up? So we'll see what happens. I'm taking the Chiefs, though, in the game.
This is a game where I would really like to take the Bucks in the upset. However, I said in the beginning of the year, I will probably not be taking anybody over the Chiefs, barring injuries to a certain Patrick Mahomes or ultimately just Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to keep with the Chiefs. I would love to take the Bucs just because I think this Mahomes versus Brady, I think this reeks of a game where Brady shows up for 300 yards and Rojo, after a bad week last week, shows up. But I think it's very hard to bet against the Chiefs against anybody. If the Chiefs were to play the Steelers and my back was against the wall, I would still take the Chiefs.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's fair. The spread's -3.5. What would you take on that?
I'd take the Chiefs.
Yeah. I don't feel comfortable right now on any Bucks bets. I'm not gonna lie. They're too flaky of a team for.
The last couple haven't worked out for you.
Yeah, I know a guy. They haven't done too well for him.
No. Now we have the Packers and the Bears. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. When the Bears were 5-1, I said don't be surprised if the Bears go 500. The Bears were 5-3, and I said don't be surprised if the Bears go 3-5 over their next 8. Here we are. The Bears are starting to have to battle for a playoff spot after being almost guaranteed a playoff spot, and I'm sticking with what I've said all year. They're pretenders. Their defense has ridden them as far as they possibly can. I'm taking the Packers in this game. If the spread was 8.5, I'd take the Packers by 10.
Well, that's weird because the spread is exactly 8.5. So good call there. I would also take the Packers. It's Sunday night game, and the Packers coming off a bad loss to the Colts. I would expect them to rally. I feel like Aaron Rodgers always performs in primetime games. We've seen it time and time again. Bears defense is great. We know that, but their offense is just so bad. I'm taking the Packers, and I would probably take them by 10 points as well.
When the Bears play the Vikings, you and I took separate teams. I actually had faith in the Bears for once. You took the Vikings. And something to point out is the Vikings did not have a single starting defensive back for that game. And I was confident. I was like, listen, I know that I just have to score 1 or 2 touchdowns, 10 points, and they'll beat this Vikings team. They did not score an offensive touchdown that game. They scored a special teams touchdown.
Not one offensive touchdown. Not one.
What I said earlier, by the way, Nick Foles is injured. Mitch Trubisky is back in at quarterback this week. Don't expect anything different. Don't expect anything different from this team.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, go Pack, go.
Yeah, easily. Now we have Monday night's game, which is the appropriate Eagles game, the Seahawks and the Eagles. Earlier in this year, I think this would have looked like a decent game. Honestly, right now, it's probably less appealing to the eye than it is as entertaining of a game. The Seahawks, they've got a lot to prove right now, and the Eagles are currently first in their division. So this game has much more weighing on it than people think meets the eye. It's in Philadelphia. Yeah, sure, the Eagles are starting to get a little bit hotter. Fun fact, Doug Peterson's getting talked to right now. They're asking questions whether Carson Wentz is going to be the starter this week. He's saying he is. They're starting to heat him up. His seat's on fire. Carson Wentz's seat's on fire. I'm taking the Seahawks. I'd take them by 12. I think they're going to annihilate the Eagles. 2 scores, 3 scores. I'll take them by all of it in Philly. Too much firepower.
I love that. It's -5, by the way. The Seahawks, after these past 2 losses, are not going to hammer that bet. Hammer that bet on the Seahawks. They're coming off 2 losses against appropriate teams, to be fair. The Eagles are a terrible football team. Their defense is the only saving grace. Carson Wentz gets hit the most in the league. He's got 40 sacks on him, more than Joe Burrow, which, by the way, I'm so glad that you put an Eagles icon for the Bengals because I didn't even want to look at it this week without bursting in tears. So, it was a healthy mistake. Seahawks are going to win this game by double digits for sure. So I'm hammering that and I think that could, along with the other game, which was the Bills Chargers, I think is a lock of the week. The Seahawks are going to win this game. They're going to win by more than 5.
Yeah, I would also put this as a lock of the week. You said that the spread is 5.5. Man, dude, if it was 10.5, I'd still almost consider this lock of the week. The Seahawks are on the road coming off of back-to-back losses. Russell Wilson isn't going to lose 3 straight. Pete Carroll isn't going to. Chris Carson's going to be healthy this week. If he's not, he's back next week. Carlos Hyde's going to be back. They're ready to go. DK Metcalf hasn't shown up in a couple weeks. I would put 150 yards on DK Metcalf, and I would not be scared to make that bet.
Yeah, I think this game could be the Seahawks could score well above 40 points, and the Eagles could score 20, just because the Seahawks defense does struggle. But I'm looking at a 45-24 game max.
Yeah, I would also agree with that. I think that's a good take. I can see the Eagles dropping over 40 and it just being a comfortable win. They're scoring over 10 points a quarter easily. Well, that is what
it's got that too much firepower.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what we got for week 12 of the NFL turnover and our NFL podcast for week 12. We hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving, and we'll be tuning in with you next week.